Welcome to Just a Guy Reviews, brought to you by All Eyes on Media. And today, our feature presentation is the new Knives Out movie, Glass Onion. It is the new murder mystery from Rian Johnson, starring Daniel Craig returning as Benoit Blanc, and new characters played by Edward Norton, Janelle Monáe, Kate Hudson, Dave Bautista, and others. As always, much like the first one, a star-studded cast. And you know what? It got me watching the movie. Every time I see a all-star cast ensemble, I usually say, I'm in, I'm going to watch that movie. So basically, what this movie's about, I'm not going to get into spoilers, but the description of the movie is tech billionaire, played by Edward Norton, invites his friends to a getaway at his Greek mansion to set up a fun murder mystery that goes awry. Now, I have been waiting for this movie for a while because I heard nothing but good things coming out about it. I should have known better, honestly. I saw the first one and I thought it was just fine. And you know what? This was pretty much the same thing. But before I get too much into what I didn't like about the movie, let me start with what I did like about the movie. And it's mostly the performances from the side characters. Like, I thought Dave Bautista was my favorite part of the movie. He plays a Andrew Tate-esque male activist vlogger who has 1 million followers on Twitch, which hilarious. And also, don't we all want that? He's very funny, as he is in almost every role that he is. He's very charismatic. I mean, to me, he'll always be Dave Bautista from the WWE, but he is really coming to his own as an actor, whether it be Drax or from any other of his other movies that I haven't seen. But here he plays Duke Cody. Hilarious vlogger name. Hilarious vlogger name. But I thought he was absolutely incredible. He was funny. His wardrobe, spectacular. He has one of the best shirts that I've ever seen, and I will be going to try and find it online as soon as this is over. It is one of the most ridiculous shirts I've ever seen, and it's almost impossible not to look like a cocaine dealer while wearing it. Other than him, Edward Norton, always good. I mean, I wouldn't put this anywhere near his best performances. It's nowhere near his performance in, say, American History X, nowhere near his performance in Birdman. It's nothing like that. It's more lighthearted, but he plays a good dick, and that's all they ask him to be in this movie. He's going to be a dick. And finally, I think the only other thing I really liked about the movie was the setting, which is this private island in Greece, absurd mansion. Pretty much said, what would a absolutely absurd rich man have at his private estate? It has the most ridiculous technology you've ever seen. There's a scene where Daniel Craig lights up a cigar and an alarm goes off outside and says, no smoking in the garden. No smoking in the garden. Hilarious. There's a giant mural of what looks to be Kanye West from My Dark, Beautiful, Twisted Fantasy era. Him being a god. All that shit. It's hilarious. He owns the Mona Lisa, the actual Mona Lisa, and it's very funny. But outside of that, there really wasn't much that blew me away or even impressed me about this movie. The writing was pretty, I mean, it was fine. There was nothing bad about it. There are a few horrendous dialogue situations. Like, there's one person that everyone's surprised to see, and they go, it doesn't surprise me that she was invited, but why is she here? Just horrendous. Bad stuff. And it's basically the first movie over again. There was nothing new about this movie. They basically took the first movie, put it on a Greek island, got new characters, and let's make a movie, called a day. And it just seems like that's what they did. And I might be being a little harsh on the movie, but that is because every time before I watch a movie, the curious person that I am, I have to look at the Rotten Tomato scores. I have to look at the Letterboxd scores. And when I looked up Knives Out, Glass Onion, and I saw 93% critic, 93% audience, 3.8 on Letterboxd, I was like, wow, this movie has got to be great. This movie has got to really be entertaining, balls to the wall for the 2 hours and 20 minutes that it is. And it's got to be one of the best movies of the year. And it's just flat out isn't. It's one of the most fine, harmless, average movies that I've seen in quite a while. And I don't see how it has such good scores. Now, I know Rotten Tomatoes is a flawed system because Rotten Tomatoes is, did you like it or did you not like it? And if that's the parameter, sure, I bet 93% of people like that movie. I'm sure. And same thing with Letterboxd. I'm sure a lot of people watching it said I was thoroughly entertained. I gave it a 4 because that's the only reason it's getting up that high at 3.8. But what really gets me is that this score that I see on Rotten Tomatoes, again, I shouldn't harp on it, but I do, is better than some movies that are just undeniably better. The Exorcist, a horror classic, the best horror movie ever made, has an 84 critic. I don't know if they're different critics. I don't know if there were critics that were like, I don't like horror. But there is zero reason that Glass Onion should have 9% higher than The Exorcist. Jurassic Park has a 91% critic. And if you find anybody that says they like Glass Onion more than Jurassic Park, they should be medicated because that's one of the worst takes ever. And they clearly just don't know what good movies are. And that could very well be the case for how this score is the way it is. Avatar 2, Avatar The Way of Water, has a 77 critic. This movie is about to surpass $1.5 billion in the box office. $1.5 billion. It's going to be one of the highest grossing films of all time. And I know they're different. You go to these movies for different reasons. You watch Glass Onion for the murder mystery storytelling. You go to Avatar to see the purple or blue people swim in the water, and it looks incredible. But you know what? I don't care. Avatar is an hour longer, and I enjoyed myself the entire time, and I didn't want to look away from the screen. Glass Onion, I repeatedly had to stop myself from grabbing my phone and looking on Twitter and watching the Bucks beat the piss out of the Wizards. But you know what? Watching Giannis put up 50 points that he did tonight as I'm recording this, 55 points, is far more entertaining than Glass Onion, especially on the first watch. Now look, it sounds like I'm being harsh. This movie is fine. This movie is absolutely fine. There is nothing truly wrong with this movie other than it being cut and paste the first movie. It's a very average murder mystery. I am simply disappointed that I go online, I try to see what the scores for these movies are, and when I see anything in the 90s, especially when it's 90s from both audience and critic, I expect a great movie. There aren't many movies like that out there that have 90s from both, and this should not be one of them. That's all I'm saying. It's a fine movie. I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. That's my absolute hard score. I'm at a loss for words because I just don't even know how to. When something is just fine, like I'm going to forget about this movie in 2 days. When something is just fine, it's a little hard to talk about it, but that's just what it is. It's a 3 out of 5. That's what I'm giving it. That was the inaugural episode of Just a Guy Reviews, and this was Just a Guy Reviews Glass Onion. Follow me on Letterboxd at Just a Guy, And find me on All Eyes On Media. Follow us on Twitter, All Eyes On. And we'll be back or I'll be back next time with a different movie. I don't know exactly what it is yet, but if you are interested in what I think about movies going forward, always go to alleyon.com because we couldn't get the rights to All Eyes On, unfortunately, too much money. But alleyon.com, where you'll find blogs about sports, movies, gambling, music. We're still pretty new, still trying to get things up. But if you want reviews on anything, I say go there. Any movie that I watch will end up on there. But like I said, follow us on Twitter. And that's it for us today, guys.